Hare Krishna to all dear devotees. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glory to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Jaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Nastapradeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate 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 Vasudevaya. Sorry, Coach. So today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 15, Instructions of Civilized Human Beings. Text 60. Because the body is formed of the five elements, it cannot exist without the substantial sense objects. Therefore, since the body is false, the sense objects are also naturally false or temporary. Text 61. When a substance and its parts are separated, the acceptance of the similarity between one and the other is called illusion. While dreaming one creates a separation between the existence called wakefulness and wakefulness and sleep. It is in such a state of mind that the regulative principles of the scriptures, consisting of the injunctions and prohibitions, are recommended. Text 62. After considering the oneness of existence, activity, and paraphernalia, and after releasing the self to be different from all the actions and reactions, the mental speculated Muni, according to his own realization, gives up the three states of wakefulness, dreaming, and the sleep. Text 63. When one understands the results and the causes are one and that duality is ultimately unreal, like the idea that the threads of a cloth are different from the cloth itself, one reaches the conceptions of the oneness called Baba Davita. Text 64. My dear Yudhishthira Partha, when all the activities one performs with his mind, words, and the body are dedicated directly to the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one reaches oneness of the activities called the Kriya Advaita. Text 65. When the ultimate goal and the interest of oneself, one's wife, one's children's, one's relatives, and all the other embodied living beings is one, this is called Dharva Advaita or oneness of the interest. Text 66. In normal condition, in the absence of the danger, O King Yudhishthira, a man should perform his prescribed activities according to his status of the life with the things, endeavor, process, and the living place that are not forbidden for him, and not by any other means. Text 67. O king, one should perform his occupational duties according to these injunctions as well as the other instructions given in the Vedic literatures, just to remain a devotee of Lord Krishna. Thus, even while at home, one will be able to reach the uh, designation. Text 68. O King Yudhishthira, because of your service to the Supreme Lord, all of you Pandavas defeated the greatest danger posed by the numerous king and the demigod. By serving the lotus feet of Krishna, you conquered the great enemies who were like elephants, and thus you collected ingredients for sacrifice. By his grace, may you be delivered from the material involvement. Text 69. Long, long ago, in another Mahakalpa, millennium of Brahma, I exist as a Gandharva known as Upabharana. I was very respectable by the other Gandharvas. Text 70. I had a beautiful face and a pleasing, attractive bodily structure, decorated with flower garlands and sandalwood pulp. I was not pleasing to the women of my city. Thus I was bewildered, always feeling lusty desires. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, thank you so much, Mati. Hare Krishna. Yeah, thank you, Radhimati, also for sharing the screen. I was thinking I'll share from my phone otherwise. So I'll offer brief prayers and we'll get started. Om. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gnananjana Sharakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namini Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschat Desatarini Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So it's a nice section. We're getting to the conclusion of the seventh canto, entire seventh canto. Tomorrow Sundaracharya Prabhu will conclude the seventh canto. So with Narada Muni previous life. But in this section, what we are hearing is the conclusion of all the five chapters of seventh canto, last five chapters. Remember, the first 10 chapters were describing about Prahlad Maharaj and his pure devotion. And last five chapters were dedicated to Yudhishthira Maharaj asking question from Narada Muni, how a attached householder like himself, that's how he gives example of himself in a humble way, Yudhishthira Maharaj. How attached householder also can achieve perfection. Meaning, Narada Muni described so many wonderful things about brahmacharis, vanaprastha, and sannyasi, how they get perfection like that. So in this uh, section, um, Narada Muni is highlighting how even grihasthas, like householders like us, people who are married, people who have children, people who have family duties to take care, how we also become perfected, can become perfected and go back to pure devotion service of Krishna like that. So that is what is being discussed here. And Narman is concluding this section. So just before the conclusion, he talks about little bit about what is the reality, what is temporary nature of material world like that. So if you remember in the last class, there was a discussion about how this material world is temporary and this material body is temporary like that. Somebody may think the temporariness represents that everything is temporary. There's nothing real at all, like that somebody may think. But this particular last few verses are indicating that just because something is not permanent here doesn't mean that there is nothing permanent existing. So, in other words, there are a couple of examples are also given. One example is about how in the mirage there's a mirage in desert. That means in desert there is some appearance of water in the desert. Not normally, desert means what? There's sand everywhere. There's not what trace of water for long distance also. But just because somebody may see a mirage like a like a illusory, uh, it appears like water somewhere because the sunlight falling on the sand like that. Somebody may think, oh, there's nothing. So the water doesn't exist like that. That's not the true because water really exists outside the desert. Somewhere water is there. That's why we can see the reflection here also now. Similarly, our material body may be false in the sense, false in the sense temporary. Yeah. Oh, this is another important thing to remember in terms of terminology. So, these real and false words are used in two different contexts. Mayavadis use the word false in the sense that everything doesn't exist, everything is illusion like that. But our Vedic scriptures also use the understanding of false and real in terms of what is temporary versus what is permanent also. Just because it's a something is temporary, sometimes it's termed as false. That has two meanings. One is it doesn't exist at all. Second is it exists, but exists for a shorter period of time. That shorter period of time can be billion years, one whole yuga, 400,000 years, for example. Like that, it can be there. It's not eternal, basically. So that is also another meaning of false versus real that we need to understand. So now here, what is being emphasized is just because material body is temporary doesn't mean that there's no body that's permanent. Spiritual bodies are permanent. Example is given in the purport by Prabhupada that Supreme Lord Krishna's body is not false or temporary. It's permanent. It's eternal. Sachidananda Vigraha. That's how we are learning to describe, know it, right? Sachidananda Vigraha is eternal, blissful, and full of knowledge like that. Similarly, how the our material body is false, but spiritual Supreme Lord's body is true or real, like that. Similarly, material world also is a reflection of the spiritual world. So even though material world is temporary or false in the sense that after so many years it will get annihilated, right? We know material world is created, maintained, and annihilated. So after some time it's going away. So it's a matter of time only. At the same time, spiritual world is eternal reality. Spiritual world is not going through the phases of time of creation, maintenance, and annihilation like that. Those stages of are not there in the spiritual world. Those stages are only there in material world like that. So, so the idea is that just because uh, everything is temporary here doesn't mean there's nothing permanent existing. The spiritual world has spiritual world itself is eternal permanent, number one, and the Supreme Lord in the spiritual world has eternal form also. Those are few aspects we're learning from 61 verse. And 62, 63, 64, these three verses, and let me see, 65 also, I think, let me see. Yeah, the next two four verses, 62 to 65, are talking about how somebody can see the oneness of everything existing in terms of conceptions, in terms of activities, in terms of the uh, last verse is in terms of interest, then they can reach the ultimate goal like that is described. Of course, these verses might indicate Advaita philosophy, like the everything is one with Krishna, everything one with Supreme Lord, like that potentially, right? But it's very clearly Prabhupada writes in the purport so that we don't misunderstand it. What does that oneness means like that? So here, oneness of conceptions, oneness of activities, and oneness of interest is being described. So what is the oneness of conception is? Like for example, the analogy given in 63rd verse is like we're all wearing a shirt, let us say. Shirt is a cloth, and cloth is made up of different threads. In one sense, somebody can say threads and cloth is different, but in the sense, cloth itself is made up of threads only. So that is indicating the oneness of threads and cloth here, like that. Of course, we all know the philosophy of Achintya Beda Abeda Tattva. That's what is our philosophy, Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy, wherein everything is simultaneously one and simultaneously different also. So this can be applied in two different ways. One is Krishna and his energies are simultaneously one and simultaneously different. The common example that Prabhupada always gives, scriptures give is how sun and sunlight or sunshine. So from sun planet, sunshine is coming. So in one sense, when sunshine comes into the home, we say sun has come into the home. But reality, if sun really comes to the home, we can never be uh, we cannot stay in the home because the sun is so hot, it will burn away all the home and everything like that. So, in one sense, sun is not really in the home, only sunshine is in the home. But we commonly say sun is in the home like that. So, that is representing the oneness of sunshine with sun. Even though they're different also, we consider sunshine is part of the sun. So that's so its oneness is indicated. Similarly, because sun is separately there from the sky, and from there sunshine is coming. So naturally, sun is different and sunshine is different. From the sun, sunshine is coming. That's another way to look at the same thing. So that is the philosophy of Achintya Beda Beda Tattva. Like that is explained by Acharyas with this example like that. So similar thing is being confirmed through these verses. And Sri Prabhupada in these two, three verses purports, he indicates oneness in terms of devotion or bhakti. How to see oneness in terms of activities. He describes that by dedicating all our activities to service of Krishna, that is actually uh, oneness in the activity of ourselves with the Krishna like that. So basically, um, Prabhupada writes in the purport how we should be guided by our Guru, our spiritual masters about this oneness instead of manufacturing our own oneness like that. So basically, he also discussed in the purport that Krishna conscious activities are um, non-different. For example, chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra is non-different from doing a physical service to Krishna like that. For example, over the weekend I was talking to a devotee. I was asking, what do you like in Krishna consciousness? You like reading or hearing like that? I asked actually narrowly. Then he responded saying that I like doing seva. So that is the amazing part Prabhupada is writing in this purport. That somebody may be interested in doing service, somebody may be interested in chanting, somebody may be interested in hearing, somebody may be interested in reading. But all the Krishna conscious activities only. And but the consciousness behind those activities is more important than activities themselves. That's the key point we practicing devotees need to catch, which is we're doing all these activities for pleasing Krishna. So that intention should be clear and straightforward and focused. That I'm doing this chanting for Krishna's pleasure. I'm doing this hearing for Krishna's pleasure. I'm doing the reading for Krishna's pleasure. I'm doing this seva for Krishna's pleasure. That intention should come for us. Then no matter what services we do, what we are doing, then we can remain focused on that intention. That gives us a actual focus, concentration, intensity, inspiration, consistency to proceed forward. Basically, many times we feel I don't have enough inspiration, I don't have enough enthusiasm, or I don't have consistently, I'm not able to do it. Uh, I'm not able to do with a lot of intensity. All this are because our intention is not strong. Intention should be to please Krishna. In fact, through devotee association, through reading of scriptures and hearing scriptures, that is one of the things we develop. Right aspirations to please Krishna, aspirations to associate with devotees, aspirations to serve devotees, aspirations to please devotees. Like that, we develop. Then that way, our actions can be in oneness with Krishna. For example, next weekend Radha Yatra is coming up. So most of us have some service other there. If you don't have some service, we can always approach some devotees, what service I can do like that. So there's an opportunity for doing service. Why? That is a important opportunity because these festivals are giving us opportunity to not only do our own sadhana, but to assist others in going towards Krishna. And when we help others to go towards Krishna even little bit, by giving them a pamphlet, by giving them a invitation to Radha Yatra for example, or inviting them to feast at Radha Yatra, inviting them to Kirtan at Radha Yatra, like that, then naturally Krishna is very pleased. Why? Because Krishna is looking forward to that loving relationship with each and everyone. So when we are trying to bring one more person closer to Krishna, Krishna is very very pleased. That is what we want. Ultimately, we want to please Krishna. So that is why services like that also are helpful in our own growth and in others' growth as well. That's the beauty of Krishna consciousness. Many times we think, oh, I'm doing this great thing by helping this person like that. Actually, By helping others, we are helping ourselves. So, because Krishna is pleased with our service attitude, that's why Krishna will give us mercy to grow like that. So, both are accomplished at the same time, our growth and others' growth in relationship with Krishna. They happen simultaneously when we are doing service like that. Then, 65th verse talks about oneness of interest. So, basically, this verse talks about ultimate goal and interest of everyone, ourselves, our wife, children, relatives. When everything is one, that is called oneness of interest. Prabhupada writes, uh, actual interest of all living entities, indeed the goal of life, is to return home back to Godhead. That is called Swardha Gatim. So basically, in one sense, our goal is to please Supreme Lord. That is the goal we have. So one of the ways to please Supreme Lord, the best way to please Supreme Lord is to engage in pure devotion service. And how can we engage in pure devotion service in an uninterrupted manner when we are in spiritual world? So ultimately, if the goal is to please Vishnu or Supreme Lord Krishna, then we'll that is called as the oneness of interest. Because Krishna's interest also is for us to be seated in devotional service and be happy like that. So how oneness in interest, activities, and conception is defined in the Vedic scriptures. Now, the last few verses are summarizing the conclusions of this whole section of the 5 chapters of Varnashram Dharma. So, this is essential thing to capture. Uh, whatever details we capture or not, the essence is important for us to capture. The essence, oh, actually, 6 verse, this Narada Muni is encouraging Yudhishthira Maharaj, saying that don't worry, I will told all these instructions for Grosthas to be successful, and you placed yourself in a humble position that I'm not attached householder like that. No, actually, you are uh, you are already in a best position. Why? Because you are already endeavoring to please Supreme Lord Krishna. That is the way we can be successful in the life like that. So whatever our position doesn't matter, whether we're Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Sudra doesn't matter. As long as we're focused on pleasing Krishna, then our life can become successful like that. So the next verse, 16th verse, Narada is describing we should perform our occupation duties according to the instructions we heard so far in the last few chapters. But for what purpose? To remain as a devotee of Lord Krishna. That way, even while remaining at home, we can go to the spiritual world, like that it describes. And irrespective of how intelligent we are, how dumb we are, doesn't matter. Krishna accepts everyone's service. That's what Prabhupada is writing in the purport. So, under the direction of a guru, even a grostha like us can also reach Krishna, provided we become a pure devotee without material desires. Prabhupada writes like that. So that means material desires are a caution for us to watch out for, like that. So, and Naraman is encouraging Yudhishthira Maharaj that by serving lotus feet of Krishna, you conquered all the great enemies in the battlefield of Mahabharata. And then also, by his grace, by Supreme Lord Krishna's grace only, may you be delivered from material involvement also, is saying. So, Prabhupada writes in the purport, we should follow the practical example of Pandavas in serving Supreme Lord. And that way, Krishna, how he protected Pandavas, similarly, he can protect us. Protection is at 2 levels. One is to live happily in this material world while we are here, number one. Number two, to reach the spiritual world and engage in pure devotion service. That's the ultimate protection we are all seeking for. So essentially, uh, the last 2 verses are talking about Narada Muni's previous life. I will leave that for Sundaracharya Prabhu to elaborate tomorrow because that will conclude the rest of the chapter. Essentially, Narada Muni is in a Gandharva Loka, a previous lifetime, as a Upabarana, where the highlight will be for tomorrow about how 2 aspects. One is what is the right behavior. More than that, the association of devotees that helped Narada Muni in the, as a Upabarna to get a glorious life like Narada Muni like that. So association of devotees is amazing like that. So that's what we'll see in tomorrow's section. I wanted to elaborate on the theme that we covered today, which is about focusing on satisfaction of Supreme Lord, focusing on pleasing Krishna. I want to speak little bit on that topic because that is a essential principle or foundation for our Krishna consciousness. So I was discussing one devotee over the weekend, and we were discussing how uh, he was telling that. Yeah, it came out in the discussion without the whole context. Essentially, we all start in devotional studies with some motivation initially, whether that can be to be peaceful, to be happy, whatever motivation we might start. Then slowly we give more and more space in our life in terms of mental space, in terms of physical space, in terms of amount of activities we engage in. We give more and more space to Krishna consciousness. So that's the next level. Now, uh, third level or a more higher level is that we make Krishna consciousness the primary goal of life. And then other duties that we have, other responsibilities we have are our secondary goals. For example, we all need money for save. We all need to save money for retirement. We all need to save money for children's education. We all need to ensure we have a home to live in. We all need to ensure we have food, sufficient food and clothing like that. These are all goals for each one of us, especially in the household life. But this should not trump the ultimate goal we have. Our ultimate goal to be Krishna conscious, ultimate goal to be in relation with Krishna. They should not trump that. Instead, they should support that goal. That means there are two ways to do it. My main goal of life is to be happy in the middle world now without suffering. And then I will also do some Krishna consciousness. That can be one way of approaching Krishna consciousness. Another way slowly we need to develop is Krishna consciousness is the main goal of my life. Pleasing Krishna is the main goal of life. All the other things are helping to practice Krishna consciousness. All the other things are helping to me go towards my ultimate goal like that. That is the way we need to uh, graduate towards that consciousness like that. How does that come? Somebody may ask. That comes by our attentive chanting every day morning, attentive chanting of our rounds, and understanding our relationship with Krishna through sadhu, gurus, shastra like this, and then chanting meaningfully, chanting prayerfully, chanting to please Krishna with that intention, then Krishna will give the next step in our Krishna consciousness. How? Through through Guru, through Sadhu and Shastra like that. That way, Krishna is always looking out for us. As long as we are fixed in the proper intention, Krishna will guide us. What is the next step like that? Sometimes we may think, I don't know what to do next step. I don't know how to do. But we can just pray to Krishna. Krishna, please show me what is the next step I need to do. Then Krishna will inspire us. Oh, you read this book long time ago, but when you read it, did you understand anything? You didn't understand. You just put a check mark. Why didn't you read that one more time? Then you'll really understand the philosophy of Krishna consciousness in a deep way. Like that, Krishna will give some inspiration. Then we take up that book again and read like that. So, like that, Krishna is there to support us, inspire us, help us in our journey of Krishna consciousness. Unlike the other paths, Bhakti path, that is a superlative thing. That Krishna is there to help us and guide us like that. So, how does Krishna guide us? Again, through Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra. I mean, through devotee association. So, as long as, oh yeah, another aspect Narada Muni writes in this section is that we should not try to look for a loophole. For example, in the previous chapters, um, Brahmanas can do begging, for example, an emergency situation like that is described. So, but we should not make the everyday life is emergency situation. We should not make it like that. So, meaning whatever are the regular duties we should do properly, please Krishna. Instead of finding a loophole, how to not do this thing, how to not do that thing, we should focus on what is the primary duty we have, like that. So that is the other aspect Nardaman is highlighting in this section. So essentially, throughout this section, what we learned is different occupational duties, different qualities of different sections of society we learned. But the essence principle is that we are doing, we're conducting our life to please Supreme Lord, to develop our pure devotion service in terms of attitude, in terms of consciousness, to please Krishna, like that. That is the focus we have. Yeah, I'll pause there. Tomorrow will be a nice session about Nardamani's previous life. So we'll conclude here. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Vanchakalpatarubecha Kripa Sindhu Bevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Thank you, devotees. Hare Krishna.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you.